Hello, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Michelle with Cold Coffee Reads, and my channel is all about drinking cold coffee and talking about books. I'm out of breath from rolling on that stool. So I am filming outside today, so there will be cars driving by, so I'll have to edit those out and try and cut where I can. Example number one. I am also on a stool that my fiance gave me to use because the concrete is kind of chilly, but it is a beautiful morning, so decided to film outside today. Today I'm just drinking some regular iced coffee with some Snickers coffee creamer. Nothing out of the usual for me, nothing crazy. This video this morning is going to be talking about all the physical books that I've read in August. So in August I actually read a total of 16 books. But this video will only be focusing on the 10 physical books that I read because that's my goal for this year. If you've seen any of my other videos, I've mentioned it before. I'm really trying to get down my physical TBR, so without further ado, let's talk about the 10 physical books. Let's talk about the 10 physical books that I read in August. So, these are just in the order that I read them. Starting off strong, I've got Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book is all over TikTok, book talk, all that jazz. It is by Taylor, wait, I said that. It is about a band and Daisy, so Daisy Jones and the Six is the band, and it's just kind of about their journey that they go through. I will say that I liked the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo a little bit better than this book, but this one was still quite a journey, and it did give me just a little bit of anxiety. Quick read, this one actually got me out of a reading slump. Just a heads up, if you need to get out of a reading slump, this is the one that got me out of mine. I definitely recommend this book if you like historical fiction, and Taylor Jenkins Reid, honestly, she's a good writer. I like her books. One thing I've noticed about Taylor Jenkins Reid books is that her characters kind of are all intertwined. It's all set in the same world, which is really cool. Like, you hear names like Dawn Adler, which was in Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and you also hear about him in this book. So I've just, I don't know, I really enjoy that. I think that's really cool, like a really cool thing how everything's interspersed. So that's fun. I definitely recommend this book. Switching gears, next up, I would have read this in one sitting if I wasn't traveling, or at least one day if I wasn't traveling, but I read it in two, and it's not a type of genre book that I read normally, but the hype is worth it, and that is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. So if you don't know, Jeanette McCurdy was a child actor with Nickelodeon, and she grew up, I believe it's Mormon, and she just kind of went through some really awful things in her life with her mother, with acting and everything. I won't get into too much detail, but 10 out of 10. I don't even rate books really, but 10 out of 10. Would read again. Definitely recommend. Check your trigger warnings. There's a lot of things that are talked about in this book that may trigger you. Honestly, she went through a really hard time, so the hype is worth it. Definitely read it if you ever get the chance, because it is so good. Sorry, I don't remember the order I read these in. Okay, next up, another genre shift. My fiance actually picked this one out randomly for me to read. I put my finger on a bookshelf and I was like, okay, tell me when to stop. And he picked the third one of the series, and I was like, okay, I'll just start the series. So that is The Selection by Kiera Cass. I believe that's how you pronounce her name, but this is a young adult fantasy dystopian book series, and it's basically like The Bachelor, but for royals and for teenagers. It's good. It's really good. I actually flew through this, I feel like, and I was surprised by how much I liked it just because it's young adult, and I am an adult, so I feel like I should have read these back in the day and they would have probably hit a little bit harder, but this one was really good. If you don't like love triangles, don't read it. The world building in this one, I really enjoyed. They really made it seem like it was dystopian. So, this one was really good. Next up, the second book in the Selection series, The Elites. I read this one right after I read The Selection, It is not as good as the first one, still okay. A little bit more dramatics happening in this one. There is a love triangle. I believe I said that already about the selection, but there's a love triangle and it gets a little bit more heated. But the indecisiveness of the main character is young adult. She is very, I mean, you can just tell she's a young adult, which is fine. That's what the book is for, made for. But you can just tell her indecisiveness, her lack of critical thinking, I feel like, is very evident. And she kind of flies off the handle a little bit before getting all her facts, which young adults typically do. So it was still good though. I'll continue the series. I'm putting it down for now though. Next up is a book series that I actually really enjoyed, and I'm excited for the third one to come out. And it was also my first book that I read by Lauren Asher, and that is The Fine Print, the first book in the Dreamland Billionaires series. This one is about Rowan and Zara. This is definitely spicy. If you don't like spice, do not pick this up. And this is the grumpy sunshine trope. I don't know, there's this kind of lighthearted, it wasn't very sinister, it wasn't super dark romance, but it was definitely good. I really liked her writing style, and I liked this book style, or like this book, like the white pages, and just, it was a pretty easy read for me personally, so I will continue on with this series for sure. This one was a good one. Next up is the second book in that Dreamland Billionaires series, Terms and Conditions. This one is Declan and Iris. This one has a lot of tropes in it, definitely spicy. Again, if you don't like spice, don't pick it up. But this one was actually, I really enjoyed this one better than the first one. So the tropes in this one are workplace, I believe there is age gap, I could be wrong about that, and marriage of convenience. Again, not too much at stake. It's not a super dark one. There's definitely some funny moments. It's kind of all about finding yourself and what you want and coming to terms with your feelings for a certain someone. Definitely recommend. I love this one. It's so good. I'm excited for the third one to come out. It's about the third brother. Don't know what his name is, but from what I could tell from the context clues in the first and second book, that one should be a second chance romance. What I think. Okay, the next book that I read was a book that I was like a third of the way into, but I had put down previously, and I just now picked it back up in August because I decided I wanted to continue with that series. That is the second book in the Monsters and Muses series by Savvar Miller, Vipers and Virtuosos. Dark romance. Trigger warnings, a lot happening here, definitely some spice. This one's not very good. I definitely think that this is my least favorite of the series so far. It's about a girl who is some sort of hacker who is somehow tied to the mafia, I think. I don't really know. I didn't really get her backstory very much, but I also put it down, so who knows. She gets entangled with a rock star, I believe, and I don't know, he was just a normal rock star. I mean, he had some bad things happen to him, I guess, but he has heartbroken. Personally, it didn't track for me, which, fine. Definitely my least favorite of the series, though. That being said, moving on to my favorite one of the series so far, Oaths and Omissions. This one was good. This one made a little bit more sense. They had a little bit more chemistry, and they also just kind of had like the darkness, like the darkness in the romance was a little bit more better explained. Like that guy, Aiden was just like in the Vipers and Virtuosos one, Aiden was just a rock star and then he turned dark. I don't really get that. But this one, like criminals, mafia, you know, it's already there, it's already outlined. It makes sense that he would do the things that happened in this book. I hope that makes sense. Like that guy in the second one was just a rock star. I don't really know his backstory very much other than he kind of had a crap time in life, which don't we all, but this one, criminal activities happening, so it makes more sense. My favorite. Trigger warning, spice, dark, don't like that, don't read it. But I liked it. Second to last book is a book that I had started earlier this year and I ended up putting down. That is the third book in the Twisted series by Anna Huang, Twisted Hate. This one is about Josh and Jules, which I just now realized kind of go well together, like J and J, Josh and Jules. But this one was okay. Enemies to lovers, best friend's brother. It's good. There's spice. There's some twists and stuff happening in it. There is some twist in it, which I think is good, like some things that make it worth the read. Is it my favorite of the series so far? No. My favorite is Twisted Games. I love them so much. Twisted Love was also a really good one. I like, this is my least favorite of the ones. It's not bad though, just my least favorite. Twisted Games and then Twisted Love and then this one. I am looking forward to reading Twisted Lies. I plan on reading that one, the fourth and final installment in the series. I plan on reading that this year too, so let me just take a sip here. Last and probably least, honestly, is Misconduct by Penelope Douglas. Not really ending on a strong note here. This one was just spice. I mean, it's Penelope Douglas. What do you expect? Spice, it's like teacher, parent, age gap. There are some things that happened in her past, obviously, that make it so he needs to protect her, but also he shouldn't be protecting her because it's taboo. I don't know. It's not terrible. It's just a quick read. I'm gonna stop holding it because the cover is really cringy. Just a quick read. Didn't take me long to finish at all, but the ending, I will say, there was a little bit of a twist ending there. That was... I can't remember if I saw that coming or not, so... It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. Sorry, Penelope Douglas. Waiting for the cars. Okay, that concludes our August wrap-up video for all the physical books that I read. I just want to note that I did read 16 books, so 6 of those were ebooks and or audiobooks. So I don't like to go through those in my monthly wrap-up videos. But rest assured, at the end of the year, I will be doing like a whole year overview where I talk about every single book that I read. Alright, that's a wrap. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. These are kind of really fun to make. I really enjoy editing them. So thank you for watching all the way through, and I will see you next time. Bye! Was that super cringe? I feel like it was.